I'm Steve Kwaitkowski, and this is my Marine Corps story.
Steve Kwaitkowski. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, man. Happy to be here.
Hey, first of all, I could just want to say your last name is very difficult, and I'm glad that you're a good sport about everything about it.
Yeah, man. I just went by ski while I was in, so yeah, went by a lot of different names.
Yeah, I had a friend. His last name was Sarazinski, and he also went by Ski. So I
Yeah,
really don't know where the names derive from with the ski.
yeah. Mine's from Poland, so it's just ski alphabet soup. Just whatever like comes out of
Yeah,
people's mouth is fine.
right. So, you're also known as Helmand Valley Archive on Instagram. You changed it from War on Ice, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's my
Yeah.
my page. Started it as just like a way to because I write about hockey too, the Chicago Blackhawks. Try to
Okay.
combine like the whole like veteran and hockey thing and just found my groove with like writing about Helmand province and just kind of found my niche there. So just align my focus with just specifically to Helmand province.
Right. And I was looking at your So, like me, I only did one deployment over there, and it's always been kind of confusing, like the general areas of the provinces. What is that like the RC South or what is that?
I think that was RC Southwest.
Okay,
So yeah.
yeah, and you went over there twice in that same RC area.
Yep, yeah, I did 2 deployments to Helmand Province, both of them were 7-month long, deployments, both with, 1-7.
Cool, cool. And well, what made you get into like writing about it? Like, did you feel like, hey, this is like history that people are gonna want to know about, or what?
Yeah, man, I've always kind of been into writing, one of my good buddies that I was in with, we would write short stories and shit, um, and when I got out, I, just started writing about hockey at first, because that's
Right.
my favorite sport, and then, I started writing about my own experience, and, it just kinda made sense to me, so, like, it's kinda where I'm at right now, just writing about Helmand Province and people's different experiences there.
Yeah, that's good, dude. There was another podcast I was watching. I like when you guys focus about the general areas because, like I said, if you didn't do more than one, it was kinda like you didn't get to really experience the whole, like, global war on terror, so, like, I don't know anything about Iraq, I'm, like, oblivious to everything in Iraq, right? Like, I only know what, like, the Marines I've had on and the Army guys, like, that's all I know, and then parts of the Afghanistan, like RC East, I've never been to Helmand, I think the furthest that way I went was Bani Timor or oh, fuck, I forgot. There's another place I went through. I think that was the farthest that direction I went because I was in the
Okay,
Maywan province.
okay. That's, like,
Yeah.
super east, right?
No, it's like the furthest south, I think.
Okay, well,
Yeah, yeah. So the big I mean, what is it? I really don't know. We weren't that far from Kandahar Airfield. We were pretty like we're about 2 hours south of it, I think.
okay,
Yeah, yeah. So that's the biggest area that I can generalize. Camp Leatherneck wasn't that far from us. Um,
okay.
Yeah, man, from I can remember, that was a long time ago, bro, so,
Yeah.
yeah. So what led you to join the United States Marine Corps?
Well, I guess, I was in high school. This would have been 2000, yeah, I was finishing up, my junior year in 2009, thinking about my future, and I was sitting with my school counselor, and he basically told me that my grades weren't good enough for college, um, and that was my wake up call, kind of like, oh shit, like what am I going to do after high school?
Right.
So that summer in between my junior and senior year, I was just looking at my different options and um, realized like there's not really like I just didn't see myself being good at school.
Yeah.
So I just kind of looked into joining at first the army. I was looking at their website, saw like on the like underneath a job description for infantry, they had like a little like warning about um, a risk for death and like being wounded, and that like scared the shit out of me. But it intrigued me. So like props to the Army, but also led me to the Marine Corps because I told my dad about it. He was shocked at first, but he said at least consider the Marine Corps the Air Force. So hit up those recruiters, and the Marine Corps just kind of brainwashed me to stick with them. So
Yeah. It's funny that you bring that up. I was just I was just talking to a bunch of people on Facebook, and they always talk about like how like you don't deal with like they don't teach you how to deal with the loss, right? Like, if you lose one of your brothers or whatever. And then one of my friends that was in the invasion of Iraq and everything, he's like, Why is it the military's job to teach you how to deal with the loss?" He's like, "If you join the infantry, like, shouldn't you know?" You know what I mean? And and then I was like, "Yeah, that's a fair point." But I do believe there should be more resources because it's different. I try to explain like, hey, you can't like put yourself in that situation where like your friend's gonna get shot,
yeah,
or like your grandparents, like they're gonna die when they're old. Like it's kind of different.
oh for sure, yeah.
So that's good that they did that. But hey, man, I always think I should have joined the Air Force first, dude. Like,
I think we all did.
so like right when you go to the recruiter, right? Did you play hockey and stuff in high school or no?
No, so in high school, I did football for a year, but my main thing was skateboarding. So the
Oh
only things I
man,
cared about was skateboarding and video games.
yeah,
Yeah,
you were like the Viva La Bam kids, dude.
kinda. Yeah, I mean, like I had like the Justin Bieber haircut. I'm bald now, so like I don't got any proof to show for it. But yeah, I wore the skinny jeans and like yeah, I was
Yeah,
that kid.
that's cool, dude. Yeah, I have a lot of people that were like former skaters that go join infantry, man. I don't know why.
Yeah, just kind
They,
of drawn to it, I guess.
yeah, you guys are like, what do they call them? Like, they're not like outlaw kids, but like, they're like, they go against the
Misfits.
grain. Yeah, misfits. Yeah, like misfits. Yeah, that's funny. So you're 2009, you go talk to the Marine recruiter. You're like, hey, I want to go infantry or what? Like combat was the only way.
I mean, so yeah, and I guess like for more context around my story, like I grew up a pastor's kid. So my
Okay.
dad, he's in charge of a pretty big homeless shelter in Chicago.
Okay.
Um, so like I didn't grow up sheltered, but like I grew up like just pastor's kid.
Yeah.
So like when I talked to my recruiter, I wasn't necessarily like the first person you think of that's going to join the infantry.
Absolutely.
And when I told him that I wanted to be the infantry, he told me to go back home and do more research about it to make sure that's what I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
Um, and like I tried looking up like I don't know like combat engineer and stuff like that, but like I didn't want like it just made sense to me if I was gonna join the military, like to be a grunt. So I told him like I was gonna stick with being an O3, and I wasn't going to join the Marine Corps if I didn't get that MOS. So yeah, that's kind of how I fell into it, I guess.
Damn, dude. What so this is very interesting to me. So since your dad was like a pastor, did you kind of like feel like rebellious about it and that's why you thought, hey, the infantry was the way or what?
Um, I guess like I'm sure that had something to do with it. But my dad, he was pretty supportive of like what I ever wanted to do with my life. Like I said, like with the whole army thing, like he was shocked at first, but he also like gave me the resources of like if you're gonna make this decision, like here's what I think is like the best options for you.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
No, yeah, it sounds to me like he's like, hey, don't focus on one part, just keep expanding your options.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's anything a parent should do. I think that's what I try to instill in my kid. Like, I want you to choose what you think is best, so you don't blame me. No, I'm just joking. But
yeah.
okay, so you're 18, you join the Marines. How long when you graduate high school, you ship to boot camp?
So I graduated in 2010, and then I had that whole summer. I originally was supposed to go in October of 2010, and then I had like a freak accident.
Mhm.
You were a doc, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if you ever heard of a testicular torsion.
Yeah,
Um,
you're
yeah,
yeah.
I, literally a week before boot camp, I woke up in severe pain, and literally like my nuts got twisted up, so they had to like do
Yeah.
surgery, and I had to tell my recruiter like, I can't go to boot camp, so they swapped me out with somebody with a ship date in January of 2011, and I went to boot camp in 2011.
Oh, wow. So they were cool with it, like the surgery and everything. They didn't really need to do anything else or what?
Yeah, they were cool. As long as like I was healed up, I could tell they were kind of annoyed because I think I hurt my recruiter's quota, or something. But I remember they weren't like too happy. I was like, look, like there's no way in hell I did this to myself. Like it's ridiculous.
Hey, dude, they're just so mad because if they don't reach that, there goes their NCOER, dude. They're like, "Oh, I'm going down." Dude. Their rating is
Yeah.
all fucked up. That's funny. So, how was the were you like, man? I'm actually like, I've never met anybody that had that happen. So, if you don't mind me asking, like, obviously you're in pain and stuff,
Yeah.
but the healing process, like, was it was the surgery quick or what?
The whole thing was freaky, man. Like, when it first happened, I thought it was uh like a hernia because I felt it
Yeah,
in my stomach. I had no idea what it was and I couldn't walk. So my dad had to like carry me to the doctor, and then they found out like what it was. So the surgery was quick. I had like 6 hours to get surgery, or like the like loss of blood, like they have to remove it. So I made the time hack. But the recovery process was weird. Like you had to like wear a diaper, and just like
right.
having stitches down there was just like kind of like was like a mind fuck. So it's just like it was weird. And then like of
Yeah.
course like the while I'm recovering, like I have to think about like staying in shape for boot camp. So it was definitely weird.
Yeah. When you ship, so you skateboarded a lot. You're probably in decent shape. Like you're probably like a skinnier kid. Um, like how did you feel when you went to boot camp? Like where did you go? Did you go to California or
Yeah, I went to MCRD San Diego. And I thought boot camp was tough, it was hard. It wasn't like I don't want to say it wasn't what I expected it to be. Like I said, I still thought it was like hard, but like it was just like, like I viewed it as a game. Like as long as you played the game, like
right?
it was fine. I was definitely on the skinnier side. I showed up, I want to say around 150, and then I dropped down to I think I graduated 132.
Oh
So I was
shit.
actually underweight. They just never put me on double rats, but
Yeah.
I thought it was tough. Just not like I think when I hit the fleet as a grunt, that's when I realized like, oh shit, like this is actually what I was thinking of in the military. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I agree with you, man. I feel like that's they had to like bring it down right to like the base level for a lot of people. So like obviously like the most iconic boot camp is what Full Metal Jacket, and I thought it was
yeah,
always going to be like that. And then when I got there, I was like, dude, this is the hardest part is just being annoyed by other people that make it hard.
yeah, yeah.
So so is that what you found like challenging over there? Was like the mental aspect? Because like you're like, dude, I just want to cuss these people out or what? Like not the drill instructors, but like the people that you're with.
No, I mean, like, for the most part, I view like I kind of felt like that there were some people that were like, man, what are you doing here? Like, like some people like were shocked, like, oh my God, like this is so hard. It's like, like back then the internet, you could still look this up. So like I thought it was still mentally hard, but I just didn't understand like how some people like were surprised that it was mentally hard.
Yeah.
Um it was just like you just play the game and like suck it up for a few months, and then you're done.
Right.
So yeah.
And when you're done with boot camp, like you're obviously O3 series, like do they start telling you, hey, what discipline in the O3 series that you're gonna be?
So we find that out in the School of Infantry.
Oh, okay.
After boot camp, I had like a week of leave at home, and then I went to the School of Infantry in Camp Pendleton, California, and then that's 4 weeks of like basic like rifleman skills, and then they have the split where they assign you whatever, like you're going to be a machine gunner, a mortarman, like whatever O3 MOS you get. So that's when you find out.
Yeah. What did they pick for you?
I got a O341 mortarman.
Mortarman? Okay, cool, cool. Um, what is the so you do the 4 weeks, right? Your basic rifleman stuff. Like they teach you, I assume they teach y'all like formations on patrolling and stuff like that.
Oh,
And then how long is the mortarman portion of it afterwards?
that back then that was also 4 weeks. So you spend like, I want to say it was like 2 weeks on the 60 millimeter, and then you do 2 weeks on the 81 millimeter.
Uh-huh.
But yeah,
Is that the highest it goes up to?
the highest is 120, but they don't teach you that in SOI.
Okay, they teach you that at your what do they call it? The fleet, right?
No, oh, there's you can. I mean, like, to kind of jump ahead a little bit, like me and my buddy shot them in Afghanistan, and we had to like learn in country. So
Yeah. Hey, sometimes that's the best way to learn, dude. So, all right. So 2000, what, like this, like late 2010 or 2011?
so
Oh, 2011
this,
January. So yeah.
yeah, this I graduated SOY in August of 2011.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. I graduated May of 2011, so I'm like right behind you. I'm coming in.
Oh
So,
shit.
um, all right. So you graduate infantry school. Where does that lead you next?
So then near the end of the schoolhouse, we find out what units we're going to. Me and a lot of the mortarmen, we found out we were going to 1-7 in 29 Palms. So like I like at that point I was ready to go wherever. I didn't really care. A lot of people were
Mhm.
upset that 29 Palms is the middle of the desert. Um, and I was excited. And then they told us. I remember we were waiting in line for chow, and then one of the instructors, he was with 2-7, so he was like schooling us up on like 1-7's history, like John Basilone, the history of Suicide Charlie with the two guidons. And then he was telling us, like, when you guys hit the fleet, you're going right into the middle of their workup. You guys are going to Afghanistan like sometime within like the next year. And that's when it hit, like oh shit, like I'm going to combat, because during the School of Infantry, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, they had been returning from their deployment in Sangin, and we had the opportunity to like talk to some of them. And one of my like, he wasn't a friend, like I knew him from high school, but he was killed in action with 3-5. So like I knew like there was a lot of shit going on in like Helmand province, and then to hear that like we were the next ones going there was like kind of like reality setting. So that's like, I think that was like probably the most earliest definitive moment in my military career. Like, wasn't just like stepping on the yellow like footprints and all that. It was like finding out like you're no shit gonna go to Afghanistan.
Right. And so where are you from originally?
Chicago.
Chicago. So how are you adapting to like the changes over there? Like, right? Because you're going from like a place that has all four seasons now to you're going like desert area only.
It was a shock at first. I mean, like when you show up to 29 Palms, like, like, because Camp Pendleton's on the ocean, it's really nice, like perfect
Yeah.
weather no matter what. Get on the bus, and then as soon as you step out, it's like an unreal heat. Like it's like an oven. Like you just step outside, and it's like where in the hell am I? Like this is like a different planet. So it
Uh-huh.
was definitely a shock for me.
Uh-huh. And so how does it like so what's it like when you first get there? You get assigned like a corporal to show you around to your battalion or what?
Uh, so for us, when we showed up, get off the bus and they start yelling your names, and or when we rolled up to the barracks, it was like in the afternoon, and it was like shitty, like 29 Palm barracks. I remember seeing like all these like salty ass Marines on the catwalks, like drinking, and like we could hear them like yelling through the bus window. And then I was like, oh fuck. Like we knew about hazing, and we were told like, oh, when you go to the fleet, don't let a lance corporal try to punk you out. And I was like, we were all just like, everybody was silent. It was like a funeral inside the bus. And so they call everybody out and assign you to like your platoon. I got signed to 81's platoon in 17. Um, and it like I'm not exaggerating. Like the first few nights in the fleet were like way worse than boot camp. Like that was like the biggest shock because it was just like they ran us from the buses until like the like day room, like making us carry like all of our shit. They told us to sit down, like cover in a line and left hand over left knee. And I was like, man, like this isn't fucking boot camp. This is like the fleet, and we're getting treated like this. And I was a private, so I think I was like one of the few privates in our platoon. But um, I was like, this is like fucking insane. And like the lance corporals, like there was like senior lance corporals, and it was like you called them like yes lance corporal, and they introduced us to one of the section leaders, a staff sergeant who had done multiple deployments to Iraq, and I was like the first time I was like this dude is like this. When I think of like a combat marine, like that was him. So that
Yeah,
was like that was when it hit. It was like the Mickey Mouse show of boot camp is over. Like this is fucking reality right now.
right. Dude, okay, so I always hear these stories like, and I'm so interested of like, it's way different from how the army and processes like you show up and then some sergeant takes you to your battalion and then you get hazed later. But like you guys, it seems like they take you from your school straight over there to like your battalion and it's like game on, dude. Like they already knew that you guys were coming.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. They were waiting for us.
Dude, the hazing culture is pretty interesting, man. Like I'm not for it or against it. I understand that like, there's some extremes on it. I think it's just part of it though, man, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, like with hazing, because like I think there's a lot of things that's called hazing that I mean it's just intense training.
Right.
Because like I said, like when I got to the fleet, that was what I thought the military was. Like, like I messed up rank, like I had to like do physical, like, like push-ups or like doing really hard exercises.
Yeah.
And it like for us, like in my peer group, it was a lot more physical. Where like, I remember I called a corporal, a lance corporal, and he like threw me into a wall. But like if you had hands laid on you, you were expected to like fight back a little bit. And like so it was like a lot more physical. Like to me, like I think of hazing as like, later in my career, I like saw like Marines get in trouble for doing some stupid shit, like I don't know, like college boy, like drinking a lot of alcohol and then like doing some like making a Marine dress up as like a princess and like that doesn't do anything. Like
Yeah.
if I'm getting like yelled at and paying with like physical pain, like
Yeah.
in my head, like that's a lot more beneficial than like doing something totally meaningless.
Yeah. Dude, what you just said, it makes a lot of sense, dude, because like um what I used to do to my new medics, I would put them through hell on earth and then I would make them write death letters to the guys that they didn't save to their family. Obviously, we didn't get that far in shipping it, but what I'm saying is that fact that like, hey, you didn't try hard enough, you gave up. Like that's the reason this guy might not make it
Yeah,
because you gave up, and it was never like, hey, I want you to fucking kill this person. Like I want you to try at least, like give a damn. Even if you don't, even if you know he's dead, you still got to do something. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
um, but the hazing thing is like, I don't know if you ever seen that video of that army guy. They took a wooden mallet to his chest and they gave him a heart attack when he got promoted. Did you ever see that video? That's like
No.
true. That's like true hazing. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, we like y'all get the. I think y'all get the thing on the collar, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like our ranks on our chest, and like so people will punch you in the chest, right, or whatever. This dude got hit with a wooden mallet in the chest. And he had a heart attack and he died. So that's like
That's
true like
wild.
hazing. You know what I mean? That's a little bit. that was a little extreme, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So so do you feel like the corporals like are like this is getting you in the mindset to prepare for war?
Yeah, like it's a little controversial, I guess, because like I mean, my platoon, and I'm not trying to say this like brag or anything. Like our seniors, they had a reputation for hazing before we even showed up there, and we were their first boot drop. We were actually the only boot drop.
Hmm.
Um, and the way I viewed it was like there was definitely a line, like, if somebody puts hands on you, that's like that was always, like, my line,
Yeah, it's
but if
game
I
on.
was a junior Marine, um, like, I don't wanna say it was like boot camp where it's a game, like, I viewed it all as, like, lessons to, like, learn how to be more, like, mentally resilient,
Yeah,
because like, my roommate, he was, like during SOI, everybody thought he was gonna be, um like a really successful like infantryman and like he was kind of like moto and all that kind of stuff and then when we showed up to the fleet he like folded and he ended up I'm not trying to judge whatever he was dealing with but like he cut his palms to make it look like he was having like suicidal ideation because I mean he was getting fucked with like nonstop every single night
yeah,
and just I kind of brought it on himself. Like he never cleaned his room, never. He was turned into a shit bag, and he was paying the price for it. And then eventually, he just tapped out, and he didn't deploy with us. But like for me, like I knew like my background, being raised like in a pastor's home, like I don't want to call it weakness, but there were certain things in my mindset that needed to be changed for combat so
hmm,
like I viewed it like if a senior lance corporal is going to be tough on me, like I want to make sure I'm like as mentally tough as possible for an Afghanistan deployment.
yeah.
Um, so that's just kind of where my mindset was. Eventually, a line did come with the platoon as a whole, but that's just kind of like how I viewed it initially.
Okay, so like, okay, let's say you're so September 2011. That's when you're there. You deploy when to
We went to Sangin, Afghanistan in end of April in 2012.
okay. So what is like the workup trying to get up there? Like,
Yeah, it's I mean like we were in the field for, like I can't remember. They had like a certain way of doing it where it was like you go to the field for like a week or 2 weeks, come back, get ready for the next field op. And like for 81s, we'd also do mortar shoots for like different units. So if like a air wing wanted mortars on a weekend, like we could be going to the field on a weekend. So we were in the field a lot. And then that kind of like that was like from September to December. We also actually went to Bridgeport, California, right when we showed up to the fleet. So like it was like show up a week in the fleet and then like a month up in the mountains of Bridgeport. Um, like all of that until December. December was Christmas leave, and we had like a longer leave block. It was like a couple weeks or something. And then as soon as we came back, we did enhanced Mojave Viper, which is like a month long in our backyard in 29 Palms, where it's just like the final culminating training event for units that are deploying to Afghanistan or Iraq, I guess at the time, and just like evaluate the unit. So like
yeah,
it was just you're in the field basically the whole time.
yeah, that'd be like their most realistic they can give you, right? And it actually, I honestly, it's kind of like our national training center. It's also in the Mojave Desert, and I always think it's for the fucking officers, dude. To be honest, it's like,
Yeah,
hey, like, how are y'all gonna move this battle space? How are you gonna move the privates around, type shit? You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
um, okay, so do you feel like that training actually like obviously we're getting to the deployment right now, but like do you feel like looking back at it now like that training is sufficient enough for y'all to go over there?
Yeah, man. I thought like my unit did a fantastic job at like teaching us what we were going to be doing. Like we're a platoon of mortarmen, but like our mission in Afghanistan was to be riflemen. So like
Right.
they did a really solid job of making sure like we could be effective, you know.
I just want to hop on here real quick and give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Craig Fleming at Fleming's Cleaning. Go ahead and use code word GWAT13 for your next commercial or residential cleaning. If you're in the San Antonio area, please hit them up. It's fall, it's dusty. Let's get your house or your commercial property clean. If you haven't done so, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel, share this content, like, and hit that notification bell. Follow us on all major socials: Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. We're also on Spotify. So if you like to listen to podcasts on the road, go ahead and check us out over there. And with that, let's continue the episode.
Just basic grunts.
Mhm.
Um, and like I thought my seniors, for the most part, did a excellent job of preparing us mentally for combat. There were definitely a few where I like thought they crossed the line on certain individuals, but like I think the unit as a whole, like I felt I felt ready when we went over there. I was in a good mindset, training wise.
Right. Um. So when you said you were like, did you already know that you were gonna just do rifleman stuff when you were? Because that's what you, if I caught correctly, you said that you were gonna do mainly rifleman stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
we knew, our platoon commander, like, like, when we show up to the fleet, we knew we were going to Afghanistan, and then eventually our platoon commander sat us all down and told us, like, we're going to specifically to Sangin, and, like, he talked to us, like, what to expect, like, "Hey, like, our platoon, we're basically gonna be the battalion, quick reaction force, QRF, and then we're also going to be sending dudes out to rotations on different fobs to actually be mortarmen for a little bit, but for the most part we're all going to be QRF."
Okay. When you, so obviously you know Sangin because you said you lost somebody that you didn't know. Well, you knew of him, right? So like you lost somebody. Like, do you still? Is that what they're still telling y'all? Like that's what Sangin is like?
Yeah, that was yeah, because that was so like that when they told us that that would have been the fall of 2011. So at the time, 1-5, I think they were taking a lot of casualties in Sangin.
Uh huh.
And they were telling us like, like this isn't going to be like a deployment where, like you just sit on a fob the whole time. Like right now, like there's people getting fucked up, and like it hit us when one of our peers, he like found out that one of his buddies, I think he was with 3-7 or maybe 3-4. Either way, he found out that one of his buddies had stepped on an IED and was killed while sweeping for IEDs. So
Right.
like it was like, we're not gonna go there to like just sit on like Camp Leatherneck or anything.
Yeah. Um. So okay. So you go there. You said what? April, late April.
Yeah.
Uh. Kind of a kind of good and bad time, right? Like because we get into fighting season, right? What is so where do you guys go to first? Like, right? Like, let's paint the picture a little bit. You guys take off from 29 Palms. Where do you guys go?
So we went from 29 Palms to, I think we did a stop in Alaska, but we like stayed a few days in Manas in Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah,
Um,
I've been there.
yeah, and then we went from there to Camp Leatherneck in Helmand province. Stayed there until like they could find us a flight up to Sangin, and then they took us up to Fob Jackson in Sangin.
Okay. So how does y'all's fob work? Like who's on it? Is it like a whole battalion or what is it? Like couple
So
battalions?
it kind of varied. In Sangin, we had like the main fob was Jackson. That's like where our battalion operated out of. But then
Yeah.
they sent out like companies to different AOs. So like Baker Company, they operated out of another fob called Inkerman, and then they had um, like a smaller version of a fob that was like a combat
Yeah.
outpost, Alcatraz. They had submarines operating out of there. So like we had like I think we were operating as a battalion out of 4 fobs in Sangin, and then we had like a bunch of patrol bases scattered throughout the valley.
Yeah. Um okay, so how long are you on, what is it? You said what is it? Camp Jackson or Fob Jackson rather? Like so you're there, you guys are running QRF, right? And then you guys push to the smaller elements of Fob, right? Like so a smaller company size.
Yeah. So the way we did it was like our platoon, like our home base, I guess, was Fob Jackson. And
Mhm.
then they sent out like maybe like two or three mortarmen at a time to like different fobs to
Okay.
do mortars and do their actual job.
Yeah.
So like they'd stay like at a fob for a little bit, and then like the platoon would either be running QRF for like the battalion, or like they would rotate us out with another platoon, and we'd go stay at a PB. Um, and we would do a PB reggae out in the brown zone. Um, so
What's
like
a
it was like we were
what is
like
that? What's a
the
PB
PB.
reggae? A PB
Patrol
reggae?
base? Yeah, so, like, the patrol base, it was in, like, it was like a giant wadi called,
Okay.
Reggae. It was
Yeah.
just, short for, like, the full, like, Afghan name. I can't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I was picking up what you're putting down. I was like PB reggae. I'm like patrol base reggae. Like, dude. Okay. So like, I'm actually okay. So I'm a little confused. So you have mortarmen in a company, right? Like,
yeah.
do you have like a platoon of mortarmen, or is there like they're all like in a like the company commander's platoon, and then like they get divvied up platoons, or what? You know what I mean?
So yeah, and I know where you're coming from. So like for the Marine Corps in a infantry battalion, like with what we were doing, 81's platoon, we were the battalion mortar asset. So like we were like a platoon
Oh,
that was like our job was to support the entire battalion as a whole. And then
correct.
every company they had a weapons platoon that had a mix of like mortarmen and machine gunners. Those guys would support specific to their company. So we were like the battalion horror.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes more sense now. It's kind
Yeah.
of similar what the army does. They divvy up. I don't know what they call like the battalion commanders. Like what do they got? Like a headquarters element, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have like your Alpha Bravo Charlie. It's the same thing. There's a platoon of mortars, and they shoot them down to the companies like four of them, and then yeah. Um, so when when you get pushed to the companies, man, and you're out in the smaller fobs or the cop, right? What is it like? Like you're not doing QRF anymore. Is it like you guys doing presence patrols? What are you guys doing?
So it was like an escape, I guess, from the platoon. I was actually like one of the first Marines to like get sent out to one of the companies. It was me and one of my other buddies with a corporal. We went to Fob Inkerman. We were there for I think just under a month.
Hmm.
They were still figuring out how they were going to rotate us in and out. Um, so at first, it was just like we had like our own section of the fob, and it was just like a mortarman's paradise. Like we had our gun line.
Yeah.
We run fire missions, and we had like a little gym and hammock. Um, but like after a while, it kind of got a little slow. So like we
Right.
would ask like some of the platoons from Baker Company if we could roll with them to be like an attachment. So we at first, like me and my buddy, we did a lot of mounted patrols, like in MRAPs and MAT-Vs, and
Yeah.
then we tried getting into the like the actual foot patrols with like the line platoons. Um, and because it was like in the very beginning of the deployment, they were like a little hesitant of like having people that didn't really train with them in the workup, like run like patrols with them. But like they'd like bring us on and do that until they sent us back home to like be with the platoon.
Right. How was it like going out on patrols with them and stuff like that? Because it's kind of like it is hard. Like like I mentioned that the mortars they get attached to us too, and it's like it's just a little something that you have to get used to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, at first, like, I mean, me and my buddy, we were like really eased into it.
Hmm.
Because like at first it was just the mounted patrols, which is super easy. You just like, like if they needed a driver, I would drive one of the trucks with them, or you're in the back of the truck. So like, it's not really a whole lot going on.
Hmm.
It was really slow at first. Like I think
Like how many
like
months was it slow like that?
so like for our platoon. Well, for me specifically, I didn't get into my first firefight until June, like the beginning of June.
Okay.
So like me and my buddy, we were waiting for like, like our combat action ribbon. Like that's what we wanted.
Yeah.
Um and it was just like, I mean, we got shot at once in like while driving in the truck. So we were both like, man, like we don't want our combat action ribbon to be like we took a pot shot while driving.
Yeah.
Um, so like we were trying to get on these patrols because like we were listening to like our buddies telling like war stories of like, like, oh, like we got into our first firefight today, and like, we wanted to get like that experience, and like we felt like we were almost like getting cheated out of it because like we're in like fucking Sangin, and like we're either shooting mortars, going on these mounted patrols, or like maybe going on a foot patrol that's like not really like going to like a kinetic area. So by the
Yeah.
time we got sent back to our platoon, which was like at the very end of May, we were already like pretty jaded about the deployment.
Right. Um, why do you think that like I'm gonna jump off topic real quick. Why do you think a lot of people? Because I even talk about this with others. Like, why do you think that like so many like what would I say here? Combat MOSs want that combat uh like your combat ribbon that you wanted. Like in the infantry in the army, it's a combat infantryman badge. Like I look back at it now that I'm older, I'm like, dude, at what price does it pay sometimes, you
Yeah.
know? So like do you feel like you feel the same way now or no?
Yeah, man, for sure. Like I think it was like very heavily romanticized where it's like, we're told like once you get your combat action ribbon, you're officially not a boot anymore. Like, you rate like you're gonna be like, like I remember our platoon, they came to us to visit us while we are like running mortars. And my old team leader, he was telling us like how he had gotten his combat action ribbon in our platoon. They had gotten into like a firefight. And he was saying like how like once those bullets snap past your head, like you see everything different, and
Uh-huh.
like me and my buddy, like still wide eyed, like fresh lance corporals were like, oh shit, like we want that. Like,
Right.
like if you get shot at, like it's gonna change you into like you become like a real Marine.
Mhm.
Um so like that's just what we want is like some sort of validation. And like
Mhm.
you said, like once that finally happens, it's like, like when I got my car, that was like that's like the worst day of my life. Like, at what cost does that really come with?
Right. And it's weird. I was talking to my buddy. He's an army infantry, and he said that like it's ingrained. You know what I mean? Like when you get to your first unit, and it's kind of like, oh, you want to be like these NCOs, or you want to do this, do that, and then at the times we're not thinking about like, hey, we could lose somebody. I could die. Just the memories you have to live with. You know,
For
I'm
sure.
not saying I'm not proud of what I've done. I'm just it's just kind of hard, you know, to deal with later on in life. You know.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's
Um,
stays with you.
yeah. Wait. Okay. So June first firefight. Like what happens? Like you're finally hey you're like hey I'm freaking Lance Corporal. I'm going on my first foot like dismounted patrol.
So it was a mounted patrol.
Okay.
It's a long event, so like feel free to like interrupt me and all that stuff. So like our first firefight was 36 hours long.
Oh
Um
shit.
yeah, it started off as I came back to the platoon, super butthurt. I never got my combat action ribbon, even though it'd been like a couple months into the deployment. Right when I get back, they tell me that I'm going to be standing post. So I was like super jaded. I was like, fuck this, man. Like, come back to the platoon. I'm already standing post. Like,
Yeah.
this sucks. So I'm standing post, and then my buddy runs up to me and he tells me that they need me to be a driver for a vehicle. So like they're gonna find a replacement for me. And I was like, that's fine. Like I want to leave like the wire. Like I hate
Yeah.
standing post. So swap me out, and then they tell us like, there's a big operation coming up, and we're gonna do route reconnaissance. We're gonna go south to the southern green zone in Sangin, and basically see if we can cross the Helmand River by foot. Um, and they needed one truck to be like what we called a ghost truck, where it's just me, the driver. We got a vehicle commander who was a corporal, and then a gunner up in the turret. So I get in my truck and I find out right away, like the trucks that have like the mine rollers, and I don't know if you've ever driven one, but like it has like a little remote control that you can like control like the mine roller. It's like a giant rake with wheels in front of the truck.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Um, yeah. So my remote control thing didn't work. So like to manipulate the mine roller, I had to like use the steering wheel in a way. Um, and it was just like I was like, fuck, well, this is not cool, but whatever. We're just gonna go there and then we're coming right back anyways. And then we get to the river, the crossing point, and we're trying to, cross it by foot. And then we're wrapping it up, like we couldn't cross over it by foot, so we're gonna get ready to like head back to the fob. And I was like, thinking about going back to the base and like standing posts and being a little sad panda. And then I remember I started hearing like, snapping and ricochets. And at first when I heard the snapping, like I thought it was like our gunner cooking popcorn for some reason. Because it sounds a little muffled in the truck. So like I turn around to see like what the hell is he doing back there? And he yells like, "Hey, we're getting shot at." And like
Right,
I
yeah.
remember looking forward, and I could see, dust kicking up on the ground and our dismounts kind of like taking a knee. And I was like, "Oh shit, we're getting shot at." And like from the safety of your Vic at the time, like you feel invincible. So I was like, fuck it,
Right.
like we got our combat action ribbon. That's badass. And we get everybody in the truck. We had taken some shots from a PKM, and then they saw somebody and placing an IED. So now we had to go cordon it off, and essentially wait for EOD to remove the IED because they had
Yeah.
placed it on the route we had came in on.
Okay.
So we
And then EOD takes like 8 hours to get there, dude.
yeah, so I was already preparing my mind to be like, this is gonna be a long evening. And then they tell us like, like where all the vehicles are gonna be going to cordon off this IED. And our location was like back near where we first entered. And
Mhm.
there was like this giant dirt bridge that went over like next to a canal, and then like a giant dry ravine. So it's like a very narrow dirt bridgeway. And I remember approaching it thinking like, this is pretty narrow. And I told my VC, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And he's like, dude, we got to go across there so we can cordon off the IED. If you think you can make it, do it. But if you really don't, and like I told him, like my concern was the fact that I can't control this giant mine roller. I don't
Like,
want it to
to
like
lift it
swing
to lift
off.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I looked at it. I judged like, if as long as I go straight, I can make it. And so I was driving forward, and I remember thinking like I got this. And then all of a sudden, like my like field of vision like started shifting, and that was because like the dirt underneath the bridge had like given away. So
Right.
like very slowly, like our truck like the dirt had caused it to like almost completely roll over.
Mhm.
And then the vehicle commander was like, "Whoa, stop, stop, stop!" So like, I slam on the brake, and I realized like we're hanging off like this dirt bridge, and the truck could very well easily roll into like the ravine. Um, so at that point, that was like the real start of our real long shit show, where the Taliban ended up taking opportunity of our down Vic, and they basically just shot at us for like the whole like time we were out there. Yeah.
So are they like taking pop shots at you guys? Are they staying and fight for a little bit, or what are they doing? Because obviously you
At
guys have a
first,
mounted weapon on the vehicle.
yeah. So at first it was like they were kind of probing like all the like I guess like all of our trucks. So it was like pot shots at first. They had a machine gunner with a sniper who would shoot under the cover of a machine gun fire. And then they tried using mortars on some of our vehicles, and that was freaky because like
Yeah,
that
that
was like the
sucks.
first time we had been mortared, and we're all mortarmen. So like once you hear like the like explosions, we were like, we know what that is. So
Yeah.
and
Dude,
we
those are
knew
the
what they're
worst ones, dude.
yeah. And,
Yeah.
like, we knew what they were trying to do too, because like, they were using the same tactics we use. They're trying to bracket us in to, like, find out, like, where they can adjust the rounds to do a fire for effect. So, um, and, like, it was a really heavily vegetated area too, and one of our, like, gunners was worried that, like, like, people were gonna get close to throw grenades and shit. Um, but, they sent we got, like, a mortar T to come down and try to get us, like, unstuck,
Mhm.
and they ended up hitting the IED that we were trying to cordon off. And then while they hit the IED, the Taliban sent more fighters, and they were engaging them. Their platoon sergeant got shot in the foot, and he stayed in the fight to, like, try to, fix their truck, and then he actually still managed to, like, link up with us. And then we sent dismounts out to go like look at my down truck. And while they were doing that, the Taliban engaged them with more machine gun fire and sniper fire. Um, and the mortar T guy who had already been shot, he took a bullet in his RCO, and it like sent shrapnel into his neck. And then my section leader, a staff sergeant, he didn't tell anybody the whole time. He took a bullet to his flak jacket. It wasn't injured, obviously, but so they called in a medevac for the mortar T guy. Um, and it was like, like taking machine gun fire. And it would like, there'd be a lull. And then like it would just start picking up again. And during one of the lulls, like our platoon sergeant, a gunny, um, he walked out of his truck with one of our guys sweeping for IEDs, and then they got engaged, and a sniper shot him right in the hip.
Yeah.
So at this point, I had gotten out of our truck, and I had been moved to like another truck. We're all crammed in
Yeah.
there, and when I heard that like our platoon sergeant had gotten shot, that that hurt because like at the time it's like we're here because of like my fuck up, like I got that truck stuck,
Yeah.
and like we already had a marine who got shot trying to come out and help us, and then now our platoon sergeant is shot. So that was incredibly shitty. That was a low point, um for me personally. um but we were there trying to figure out how to get this truck out. um, and like we stayed there the whole night. Yeah,
Yeah, dude. I know exactly how you feel because I was in a striker unit, and strikers like y'all's LAVs. I think that's what y'all call them, the light
yeah.
armor vehicle. And dude, I remember, dude, just getting fucking stuck in a shitty area, dude, and just like, dude, it takes fucking days, bro. Like, to get out. And but how are you feeling as a young Marine, man? Like, you got into some contact. I understand that, like, it's your, like, it is your fuck up, right? Like, but you can keep moving from it. Like, when you guys finally get it done and everything like that, does it make you like, I don't want to fucking drive no more, or like what?
It it was it was weird. I mean, because like that whole situation was like just like fries your nervous system because like
Yeah.
like the next morning they hit us harder than they did the first day. They had RPGs, and we had called in QRF, and two companies tried to help get us out. One of them hit a massive IED. Um, so like every time I heard these casualties over the radio, it was just like weighing down on me. But
Mm.
we had a job to do, and like
Yeah.
you know, me and my buddy, like we ended up being dismounts, and under fire, we had to run across the dirt bridge next to where my truck had rolled over after we got out of it.
Mhm.
Um, like they were fucking close, within I think 25 meters. and we're, doing the grunt shit, like we were kicking in doors and clearing out compounds. Another Marine got shot in the knee. So like at the time, like when there's lulls, like yeah, I was like thinking like fuck, like being like like sorry for myself,
Yeah.
but like it's kind of fascinating now to think about it how like when I had to do my job, it's like a flip is like or a switch is flipped where it's like that shit doesn't really bother you. You're just kind of like
Mhm.
doing the thing. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't remember too well of like clearing out the compounds other than like just like acting, just like doing it.
Yeah.
It didn't really hit until like we came back and it's just like everything is just like quiet.
Right. Right. So after that firefight, like how was the rest of the summer? Because obviously, like everybody knows, like Afghanistan, the summer is the fighting season. Is it continuing to still be the same thing, or like are you doing like straight fob stuff now, or what?
So for us, it was a lot of like moments of just like slow like running QRF moments or missions. Like I'd say like the firefight was definitely like the most kinetic for our platoon.
That
Like
firefight.
yeah, the last one,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh huh.
So it's just like, if we stayed at a PB, like, taking contact and like nothing crazy. Some of the other companies, like Baker Company, they were receiving like some very significant firefights.
Hmm.
Like one of them I found a video of and have it on my Instagram page, but it was like pretty fucking huge ass firefight. So at that time, it just really depended on your specific company.
Yeah, I think that's something good to highlight too, man. Because I said it on one of my videos. I was like, you don't get to pick and choose the deployment you want. You get the
Yeah.
deployment that you're handed. I look back on it now too. Like I just had some guy that was in the army. He was in the Korengal Valley, and I'm like, bro, thank God I wasn't in something like that, dude. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, um, so so your 7 months go by. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, right? You've been in the Marine what, like 2 years already now?
Yeah, it would have been just over 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel at this point in your young Marine career?
Um,
Like after that
so
deployment?
yeah, like coming back, I was dealing with a lot of guilt from that firefight.
Mhm.
Um, and initially I was drinking like a lot to the point where I started getting like a little like out of shape, not like fat or anything, just like not running as good as I know I could.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like very early on starting to head down like a bad path. Um, but I had like a Marine who was one of my seniors. He was a would have been a corporal at the time. He was killed on our second deployment, but he basically told me like just like the right mindset to have and like I still deal with the guilt from that firefight, but he really snapped like reality and like if you feel sorry for yourself, like the next generation of Marines that come in, like you're not going to be an asset to them if like you continue what you're doing, just drinking and like nobody cares that you're a combat veteran.
Yeah.
Like it's it's who you are as a person.
Mhm.
So like that just kind of really spoke to me and shifted my mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, man, you can't be too hard on yourself, man. Like I know like ultimately you drove, but you didn't know that it was gonna be that kind of terrain, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like like uh so you guys do 7 on, 7 off. So you're doing your 7 off and you're doing your train ups and stuff like that. And you're going back to the same area, right?
Yeah, we didn't go to Sangin for our second one. We were like all over Helmand province, but we didn't even know we were going back to Afghanistan until the middle of our second workup. We were told we were gonna go on a Mew just to float on ships, and then
Yeah.
they told us like halfway through, like, hey, we got a new deployment, a new mission, and if you don't want to go to Afghanistan, raise your hand. Some people rose their hand, and like they were really selective with the type of Marines they wanted to go on this deployment. Because it was like it was going to be very different from our first one to Sangin.
And so like 2011, right? Or 2012?
So
Your first
we
one.
would have deployed in 2014 for
Okay,
the second.
so your first one was what, 2012 or
Yep,
2011? So
2012.
2012 April, and then you come back, so 2013 workup, and then 2014. That's a big time difference. It's almost 2
Yeah.
years. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
So like yeah,
I'm
because
I'm talking about
we
from start of your first one compared to your start of your second one, right?
yeah
If I'm doing my math right, yeah, it's almost about a year and a half. Let's go ahead and say a year and a half.
yeah
A lot has changed in that year and a half.
oh yeah.
So what is a so like, hey, you're now what in your ranking structure
I would have been the salty senior lance corporal.
here? Okay, and how do you feel? Because like you're gonna be the salty senior lance corporal, so you have young Marines under you. You're going to a place that the same province you've been in again. Like, how do you like? Do you feel like, hey, I can lead some people, I can help some people, or I'm not gonna make the same mistake
um,
again?
like I was definitely trying my best to be like my whole mindset during that time after my talk with Sergeant Spitzer, was the Marine, but my mindset was not to necessarily be the best infantryman. Period. I just wanted to be the best like version of myself in the infantry.
Yeah.
Um, so like I didn't really, I'm not saying like by far like my on paper I was like wasn't a spectacular Marine at all, but I really only cared about like being good at my job, um, and like learning like all right, how do I actually lead Marines? Like how do I be a good leader, and how do I not repeat some of the shit that I didn't like that I saw some of the senior lance corporals do?
Yeah.
Um, and just making sure that they all knew what to do when we went to Afghanistan.
Okay. Um, so why were they very specific on who they were gonna take?
It was a smaller size deployment. They only took three companies to Afghanistan. One company went to Jordan, which sucked for them because like everybody wanted to go to Afghanistan again, but not everybody could. And then like like for us, like I said, like we're a mortar platoon, but we were going to be doing straight up rifleman shit. So like we weren't even touching a mortar system. Um, and like we didn't even find out exactly specifically what we were doing until we showed up in country. And our platoon, we were doing both was called Helo Assault Force. So like flying in helicopters to some random fucking village, set up a patrol base, stir up like the Taliban presence to make it look like we were staying there for a little bit. And then our second set of missions were just like mounted patrols like in a truck. So it was like very different from our first deployment.
What is a so was it more kinetic activity on the second one or what?
For my platoon specifically, yes, we got into a lot more firefights.
Mhm.
Not nowhere near as bad as that my first experience, but like um a lot of like prolonged engagements, a lot of just short, quick, pot shot, shoot and scoot type shit. Um, like until like it was almost the same thing as our first deployment, where from I want to say it was like April until May, it was pretty quiet. And then like once like the fighting season, like the Taliban sent out a letter saying like we're starting the fighting season. And then every time we went out, like there was
Yeah.
contact. Yeah.
And yeah, I know what you're talking about, like where they kind of pop and run. Like they always say, like, "Oh, there's somebody on the motorcycle," and then they kind of
Yeah.
shoot. Right? Yeah, freaking hate motorcycles now because of that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, uh, s- do you feel like you're more prepared, right? Because that first firefight was real bad compared to like these shorter ticks, I guess you could say. I don't know if they say that in the Marines,
Yeah,
tick.
ticks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I felt more prepared because of my training. And like our platoon, like I know everybody always thinks like they're like the best unit in the Marine Corps, but like our platoon was like we were like pretty tight.
Yeah.
And like it was a super selective deployment, so like it was almost hard because we had a lot of like my peers were competing for team leader spots, but not everybody could be a team leader. So like you had to be okay with like, like my buddy was like my team leader, and like you had to put the ego aside and be like, like what do you need me to do? Like, if I'm a gem pop like, rifleman, like that's fine, but like, it was just like everybody was really clicking. Our junior Marines, like they were excellent in their job. So like I thought like our training had just like really prepared us well for this deployment.
Mhm. When, so you guys said you'd be dropped off in a helicopter, stir some shit up. Like, how long were you guys out there? Like, what would you do? Just take over like a compound or a house or something like that, and then you just kind of just chill there, or what?
Yeah, so it'd be like they'd identify like a compound beforehand. Usually like they'd work with like a local or something. We'd fly in, we'd stay there for like around like a week. And then like we'd be running foot patrols out of that patrol base and just like, just like a set schedule, like wake up, do patrols, and um make it look like we are setting up like a more longer presence to like get the Taliban to basically to like shoot at us.
Mhm.
And then we would just like pop smoke and then like appear somewhere else later at a different village. So it was fun, but it's also like really stressful. Like I won't lie, like there was a lot of moments where I was like scared shitless, but yeah, it was like a lot different from like our first deployment.
Do you feel like you're doing more of the thing that you thought you joined to do on this deployment?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, like we even got to do like a raid on a Taliban compound where it was like the biggest mission of the deployment for us, and like kick in the doors in the middle of the night. Like we used C4 to blow open a hole in the compound wall. They had like these civilian prisoners, and then like the Taliban like try to take back their compound, and like we got into a little firefight. Found like a shit ton of like training material that they were using. They were training a lot of fighters from Pakistan, a lot of foreign fighters in that little compound that we took, but it was a lot more like cool shit. It was a good deployment.
Yeah. You said you lost your friend on this one, like the corporal that kind of like set
Yeah.
you on the right path. Were you there during that situation?
So he had left our platoon to be a scout sniper. So we were like not he was outside of the wire, and then we found out like I remember seeing him leave. He was going on a mission, and like I just remember seeing him get in the truck, and that was the last time I ever saw him. And then we got told that there had been a casualty, and then there was like instantly like the rumor mill, like, oh, I heard Baker Company is in a tick and all of this and that. And then my buddy grabbed everybody. He looked very serious, and he said the platoon commander wanted to speak to everybody. And that's when like we knew that we were about to get some bad news. And this was the night before we did that raid. And then he like told us like we could tell that our platoon commander was upset. Like, he had like, he wasn't like crying or anything. Like you could tell he had like tears in his eyes.
Yeah.
And he just told us, like Tom was killed tonight. And that just like that hit everybody. Cause like, like he trained me and like all the other of my peers to be infantrymen, and like everybody looked up to him, and that took everybody's breath away, especially right before a big mission. That was hard.
Yeah. It it sucks too, man, because like the next day you got to do that mission. that you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you don't really ever have time to deal with it, man, until like you come back and you kind of decompress. You know, and like it finally hits you. Then you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
Sucks. So on your deployment, uh, firefights as usual, man. You're doing the thing you joined to do, man. And are you like, yeah, I like to continue to be a Marine or what?
I I was on the fence. And I like I wanted to stay in. I had eventually picked up corporal on that deployment.
Okay.
I was a little bitter just because like I was like one of the last of my peers to get promoted because like like I said, like on paper, I remember my staff sergeant pulled me aside and he's like, "Dude, we're trying to get you meritoriously promoted, but on paper, like you're not gonna pass a board." And I was like, "Fuck!" Like that's my fault. Like I should have like tried harder because like I didn't care about any of that shit. So I was like,
What does that mean? Like what does that mean? Like on paper? Like, well, what do they have like on your record?
like you get like points for doing like these courses, like we called them
Uh,
MCIs at the time, and like like having like a
like,
really good EFT rifle score, all
yeah,
that shit like matters. And I wasn't hitting like the little tiny wickets of like I didn't do any of the MCIs. Like,
yeah, they're like
um,
development courses, right, or some shit.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
Nobody wants to do that shit.
no, yeah.
Yeah, fuck. So so like you picked up corporal. Um, that's like y'all's first time that like you're like NCOs, right, in the Marines. Like that's like the moment,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You're NCO, but like we were all put in like NCO positions as lance corporals, so it's like some like were like the senior lance corporal thing, like some were acting as NCOs because they kind of were. And then like once you get corporal, it's almost like official, like you're an NCO now.
Yeah.
Um,
What do they make? Did they make you do anything on that deployment to pick up corporal or no?
um, no, for me it was just time and grade, like nothing
Oh, okay.
special. I just picked up when it was my time. So yeah.
Okay. Um. So how much like when you get your stripes, like how long does it like how long are you there until like you leave Afghanistan?
So I picked up, I want to say it was in July,
Uh-huh.
beginning of July, and then I was a corporal in Afghanistan until September. So just a couple more months.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah.
yeah, so you dance around like hey, I'm a corporal finally. Like and you start coming back like September, the garrison life. Like what is it? How are you feeling, man? Like I mean shit. Like you did the deployment you wanted, right? You think I don't know if you want to say like hey, I'm legit now, like I've done a lot of combat, like you know what I mean? I'm an NCO. Like what does young Steve think?
So at this point, like right when I came back, I'd made up my mind that I was going to go to college. I did come back in the Marine Corps eventually, because I'm too brainwashed. But at that time, I was like fuck, I just did 2 combat deployments. I just want to slow down for a little bit.
Right.
Um, and I remember like looking back at some pictures that were right after that deployment, um, like I could tell like mentally I needed a break. Because like my mind was just like it was just like stuck on an on switch.
Yeah.
It took me a long ass time to figure that out, but and I remember like as a corporal, like we got like a boot drop like shortly after, and like I had nothing. I didn't want anything to do with these boots, and like I also didn't want to get in trouble right before I was getting out. So I just try to keep a 1 arm distance, try to be a good NCO and teach them what I had. But like, it was just like I was still showing up and doing what I needed to do, but I was also just getting ready to like transition out of the Marine Corps.
What was this like 2015?
This
2015?
would have been the very end of 2014, and then my official EAS, the day I got out was in early 2015, January.
Do you feel like so like you said like you're like shit I want to slow down a little bit. You guys were going to go on another workup or something, right?
Yeah, they did a workup for an Iraq deployment. They started doing like the deployments with OIR over to Syria and shit.
Yeah.
Um, I would have loved to go on those. Like, if I knew at that time that we were going to do that, probably honestly would have stayed in. But also, I'm glad I didn't, because like I just needed like a mental reset, and it took me a really long time to figure that out.
What do you think was weighing the most on your mind?
I think like obviously like the whole guilt thing. That's something that was there. Something I've gotten better at dealing with. Something that I still struggle at times today.
Is it
But also,
the guilt from the
yeah,
first deployment? Okay, okay,
yeah.
go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. And then just like staying at like, the constant like PBs, and your mind just being like in combat mode for that amount of time. Um like coming home, like, like I felt like I couldn't relax, like I couldn't just chill out. I went straight into college, and like had some difficulties adjusting to the slower pace of life. And that's kind of why I started sneaking my way back into the Marine Corps. Um, it's just like, I don't know, just the mental aspect of like being ready to go to Afghanistan. Like I never really let go of that. Like,
Yeah,
um, I almost like wanted more combat. It's kind of weird to say.
yeah, it's the high.
Yeah,
Yeah, like we forever chase the high, right? Like it's kind of sucks because at some point it's got to end, you know.
yeah.
And it that is a very difficult process to get over. I don't know if you're
Oh,
over it yet. I've been over it, but it definitely miss some moments, you know. But there's nothing
oh,
better, honestly, man, when you're doing the job that you signed up to do, you know. And I know a lot of people still talk about it, and that's why, because it was the best job they've ever had was in those moments, you know. And so like even now, like when you talk about moving back into the Marine Corps, like is it the job that you have now? Is that what you're referring to?
no, so I got out again. And this time, like I still work with the Marine Corps as a civilian,
Yeah,
but like I've pretty much moved on from that life.
yeah.
But
Did you join the
yeah.
reserves or what? Or like, how does that work? What did you do? You
So
got
at
out and then
first,
yeah,
at first I did join the reserves while I was in college. I found out that there was a weapons company in Chicago, so they needed a squad leader, and I found out like why not do college, and then on the weekends, once a month, like be a grunt again. Picked up sergeant while I was there. Realized like I didn't want to be in the reserves, so like went and got a commission after college, so became a pogue officer, and I thought like that was my future. I was like, fuck it, I'll retire as an officer. That's going to be nice. And they sent me right back to 1-7 as an officer. Um, and even though I had a very different job, I wasn't a grunt anymore.
yeah.
Um, it was a bittersweet way to close a chapter that I think needed to get closed in my life. But
Uh-huh.
yeah,
What made you not like the officer life? Because you're do you guys get enlisted pay too? Because you were enlisted, right?
yeah, the
Yes.
pay is nice, but in my opinion, for me, it just wasn't a lifestyle I wanted. I met my wife while I was in as an officer, and to me, that was always like a line that I personally wouldn't cross. Was if I had to choose between my family and the Marine Corps, I would choose my family first. But also, it's just my time as an officer. Uh, the officer side is very different from the enlisted side. It's definitely built for certain people. And I just like it just wasn't for me. I wasn't going. I like to say things as it was. I didn't like seeing certain people, they were getting in trouble, and I didn't think they needed to get in trouble. I had no problem of speaking my mind, and I'd get a little bit of backlash. That was not 1-7 was a great unit for me as an officer. There was another unit after 1-7 that really changed my perspective of being a Marine. And that's when I was like, I love my time in the infantry, and I think I'm just gonna like leave it. Like that's a good way to close my chapter right there.
Good. Especially like maybe if you would have been an officer in the infantry, it probably would have been a little bit different. But it's good. It's good that you knew like, hey, this is like this is it, man. Like I can't do it, dude. Like, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of politics as an officer. I can imagine.
Oh, yeah. I'm not about that. Like I said, like
Yeah.
if there was something I didn't like, I would speak my mind. And at 1-7, that came in very handy because like I think infantry officers are built differently, where they appreciated my candidness, and if I was wrong about something, they let me know and I'd learn from it. But the follow-on unit was not an infantry unit, and it was very much like political. And if like you didn't think a certain way, like you were treated a certain way, and that I was like, I'm not. That's not me. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna do that.
So I know that you said like it was a good chapter to close on, but did you kind of have like some unresolved business in Afghanistan or anything like that? Do you feel like?
Oh yeah. Um, I'd say like when I made the decision to get out of the Marine Corps the second time and the final time, that's when I started seeking help. And that's when I started realizing like a lot of symptoms that I was experiencing, like they weren't they weren't good. And I think my last like kind of wake up call, it's not really a moment I'm proud of, but there was a Navy senior enlisted who it's so petty. He was parking in dudes parking spots, and like was doing it to be petty, and like I don't know why. And I went to go confront him like, hey man, like why are you parking in people's spots? Like this is like silly. Like what can we do here? And
Like the
um
like a commander's parking spot or something like that, or what?
yeah,
Oh,
he
okay.
was, and he parked in my spot, and I don't give a fuck about parking spots. And but I was like, dude, you keep doing this, like what's going on here? He was a master chief, and he like went from 0 to 100, and like was trying to like at the time I was a first lieutenant, and he was trying to flex on like a lieutenant and screaming at me. And I equally like went from 0 to 100, and I went from like company command. I was a company commander at the time. I went from company commander to fucking senior lance corporal. I said some things that like I regret saying, probably needed to be said to that individual, but like officers are supposed to be composed, and I was not talking
Yeah.
like an officer in that moment.
Yeah.
Um, and
The gentleman, that's what you're supposed to be.
yeah, I was not a
Yeah.
gentleman. Um, and like nothing was done with him. I got a talking to about that, because I was using language, and that was like one for me a wake up call of like I need to fix like how I react in certain situations. And also just like you know nobody's gonna have my back in that moment, and I'm not gonna be a part of that. So yeah.
Damn. It's a shitty situation, dude. But it's hard to say too, man. It's kind of like, damn, the Marines really didn't have my back, when
Yeah.
you wanted it to. It's not the same, right? Like we deploy overseas and stuff like that, and then we think it's the military, but in reality, it's the people left and right of you that have your back. It's not the the atmospherics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when you got out though, and you adjusted to Marine civilian life or Navy Department, whatever Department of the Navy, Marine Corps, whatever, civilian life, do you feel like it kind of filled you up a little bit or no?
Oh yeah. A big part of that is my wife. She's incredibly supportive, and also is like not scared to like call me out on my bullshit if I do something or say something out of line. So it's been like a very good healing process. There's a lot of things that I've overcome through therapy, and been through therapy a few times, and it won't be the last that I go to therapy. But it's been a lot easier now of just like accepting certain things and working with it. Um, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. No, it makes a lot of sense. I think therapy is important. It's good to let an outlet out. And have you talked to any of like your former like mortarmen or anything like that that you were deployed with?
Yeah, we all have a group chat, and like ever since all of us like went our own ways, like we've all stayed in touch. So that was like it's been huge. Just
Yeah,
like somebody needs somebody, like they just send a message in the group chat, and like somebody's there.
yeah,
Um, just think too, like like two of my other friends, they recently commissioned, and it's good for me to see like them go through like similar struggles that I went through. Because like sometimes it could feel like am I going fucking crazy here? Like what's going on? But like knowing that other people have like dealt with the same things, and it's just like it's been incredibly supportive.
yeah. You gotta lean on the people that have similar situations, dude, and I hope you get through a lot of funk. Biggest thing is you got to reach out, right,
Oh,
when you're going through some shit. So, I man, I commend you for opening up about that stuff. Do you have any like final advice for anybody that commissions? And then I have another question follow up after that. So
for anybody that commissions, like
from prior enlisted, let's not just talk about commission people. That's way different. So like prior enlisted stuff.
for prior enlisted, I'd say never forget where you came from, and always think about you when you were a private or a lance corporal, and always use that as a anchor point in your leadership
Yeah.
style.
And then the mental health aspect, man. Like if you could talk to our brothers and sisters that have been through some pretty tough times, like what would you tell them?
Um, it's cliche, but just talk. Find somebody. There's there's always somebody that is there just to listen. Worst case scenario, that number 988, like you could call that number and they'll just listen to like whatever you have going on.
Yeah.
And just talking about it is huge.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, dude, look at us, dude. I don't even know
Yeah.
you, and dude, we've been on here for we've shared some laughs. It's a good time, man. Do you have any questions for me?
Um, I do, but I'll ask them offline just to keep the conversation going, man. This has been fun.
Okay, awesome, man. Well, that's all I got, brother. Steve Kwaitkowski, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you already made it this far, go ahead and hit that subscription button or follow if you're on Spotify. Share this content. Once again, hit us up on all major socials. I'm always looking for guests. Thank you so much for checking it out. We drop a new episode every Wednesday. And with that, we'll catch you on the next episode.